Hi everyone, we are at round number 6 of the London Chess Classic that's happening in London, and we have Gukesh there playing, who was in the second position at the start of this round. And if you look at this picture, this was his game against Michael Adams in the 5th round, where Gukesh was lost, but Adams drew that game in a lost position. So Gukesh was going to be sort of thrown behind in a big way, but the draw helped him. That being said, Adam still kept a half-point lead over Gukesh. And then in the 6th round, which happened after the rest day, Gukesh was up against Luke McShane. Now, Luke is well known for his fantastic chess, but also at some point he was known as the strongest amateur in the world of chess, because he was not playing as a professional. He was working, and I think his rating was close to 2700. Gukesh had the white pieces here, and I've tried to change the chessboard a bit because many of you said we wanted a bar, so that's how I've put it here. And also, this game will be available on Chessranga. The logo is there below, so you can go and watch it there, so that you can, whenever I ask a question, you can do it in the interactive format. Okay, so Gukesh opens the game with 1d4. McShane plays knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3, bishop e7, cd, ed. We have the queen's gambit declined, and now bishop f4. The bishop often in queen's gambit loves to come on this square on g5, but f4 is also quite well known and popular. c6 was played, and here I was expecting Gukesh to play queen c2, because then you stop bishop f5. However, Gukesh instantly played e3, and when McShane played bishop f5, he again instantly went knight h4. That just shows his level of preparation. Of course, if you play a move like bishop d3, black can be extremely happy with how the opening has gone for him, and castles, knight d7, rook e8. It's a very, very calm, simple position. But knight h4 is like this way where you tell your opponent that I'm not allowing you to develop normally. You hit the bishop has to move. If it goes back, I'm very happy to get the bishop pair. Uh, and so bishop g4 was played. Now, very important not to play f3, because after bishop e6, the knight is misplaced here. It has to come back or either move forward. And it's not easy. My threat is knight h5, hitting the bishop and also the knight. So queen c2 was preferred by Gukesh, and rightly so. Knight d7, pawn was pushed forward, bishop went back, and now Gukesh made a move which, okay, he came back, rook c8. I was also actually wondering if knight f5 made sense, but then he would just take, and the position is interesting. Here there is a nice little move that black has. I mean, you can castle, that seems fine, but there is knight e4, which creates a lot of interesting possibilities, because after take, I have this intermezzo g6 hitting your queen. The queen has to move, and then I take the knight. So that's how the position would be around equal. Knight f3 was played, rook c8, and now bishop came to e2. Now this bishop could also have developed on d3, and I believe Gukesh might have wanted to do that, but maybe he was not so happy that after somewhere c5 takes knight c5, the knight comes and hits the bishop. So that's the reason why he played bishop e2, g6, and now here the threat was bishop f5 to activate the bishop. So Gukesh lost a tempo, but still played bd3 and said, okay, g6 is something that I have managed to provoke. And actually it was very useful, because here after castles, knight h5, the bishop sat nicely on this square attacking the rook. You will see how important this bishop is. Knight goes back, and now Gukesh played the move knight e2. Maybe just trying to reroute the knight here. Rook e8 was played, and a typical Gukesh move now. You see, if you play a move like knight f4, he is very much prepared to go bishop f5 because now the knight has been unpinned. So Gukesh stopped this idea with the move g4. This is a very interesting move, and also it weakens the king side a bit, but Gukesh felt that with his bishop here and pieces all around the king, it should not be a problem. Luke McShane rightly broke in the center, and it makes complete sense because Gukesh has weakened a bit on the king side, and so why don't we break in the center? Gukesh took, knight takes, and here I was expecting him to play bishop b5 to save the bishop, but instead Gukesh played this move knight f4, bishop went to f6, and then here he attacked the rook, rook went back, and this move rook a b1, I was very surprised by this move rook b1 because you can play rook d1, you can also play rook a d1, you can play rook a c1, but rook b1 was slightly weird, and you will always find such moves in Gukesh's games because he likes to create these messy situations. Queen b6 was played, and now Gukesh defended the bishop with queen e2. Here rook went to d8, and now Gukesh played his knight here, and I think the next move was inaccuracy with knight e8. I want to ask you a question here because after a6, let's say I kick this bishop away, you have to go to d3, and here bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes. I want you to pause the video here and think, what would you play here as black to play? So this position does look slightly better for white, but black has this very nice move, bishop f5. If you found this, well done. Because after take, knight takes, the bishop is attacked. The bishop has only one square, and I go f6, and the bishop is trapped here. So very nice. And then there are some tactical ideas like bishop h6. I take. I can even let it be because it's trapped, but I take. Then you take on g6. If I take here, you take with the queen with a check, and the knight falls. And there's also this threat of knight e7. So you go back, and the position is dynamically equal. Okay, so a6 wasn't played, knight e8 was played, and now Gukesh brought his rook to the center. That's what he wanted. Knight came in and attacked the bishop. Bishop dropped back. Knight e4 was played, and now a very nice move, bishop c2, just keeping the bishop on the board. If you see, we are on move 26, and both players have very little time on the clock now. 10 minutes for Gukesh and 8 minutes for Luke. a5, king g2, just improving the position a bit. Queen came up, and now Gukesh decided to get into some clarifications. He took here. Pawn has to take, because if you take with the knight, then already the position becomes quite difficult. Take, bishop takes, pawn takes, and the structure is broken, and white is better here. And always remember that in such positions, two rooks are worse than the queen. The queen always outshines the two rooks whenever there is weaknesses around the opponent's king. So move like queen b5, you will see attacks this, threatens at the right time to enter the position, and so on. So here knight d6, knight d6, fe6 was played, and then bishop takes. If you take with the knight, then e6 is hanging, so you take with the pawn. And McShane, the position is equal. He wanted to plonk his knight on the d3 square, but Gukesh instantly pinned it. So rook takes rook, queen takes, keeping this pin alive. And now queen came to c6. Now Gukesh played his pawn up to b3. It's important to also note that here winning a pawn like this does not work because of knight takes e6. There is a fork here. So that's the reason why the move queen c6 was played. And Yeah, b3, rook d8, queen e2 was played, b6, and now Gukesh played the move a3, trying to win a piece. Queen went back, and he went queen c4. And now is your second question: what do you play here as black? Black to play and to defend the position. I think an important move here was uh, knight, maybe king f7. Here there are many moves. Actually, knight d3 by Gukesh was a good move. I mean, by McShane was a good move, because yet you cannot win material. Take, take, take. The c1 rook is hanging. But Gukesh played the very, very interesting, and I am sure his opponent was surprised with just a minute on the clock, rook d1. And I think this is the point where you need to think, what would you do here as black? Black to play. Yeah, so here the thing is, knight takes f4 looks tempting, but you cannot win the rook, because after takes, it's a mate. There is just checkmate coming up. So you have to play, you have to keep the knight, but also your e6 pawn is now seriously attacked. So king f7, if you found, is the only defensive move here. That's the only good move in the position. But McShane blundered here, the final mistake. And it's very common in Gukesh's games that he's able to build the pressure up so much with the time, position, his moves, some unexpected moves like rook d1, a3, rook b1, all these stuff. And then the opponent blunders and had to move. He took, and now the final accurate move, white to play. How do you finish off your opponent? If you were greedy and took this pawn, good, but not the best. The best move here is the very nice queen d4. You threaten a mate and you keep an eye on this bishop. And if you play queen e7, I have bishop g5 winning material. So in a way, this position is all over. McShane played e5, but after check and fe5, the game was over. He resigned the game. Gukesh's position is dominating to the core, and there's no way to come out of it. So with this, Gukesh makes a strong comeback in the tournament with this win, because he has to win this event if he wants to surpass Anish Giri on the FIDE circuit. So right now the situation is the following. He is in the second position with 4 points, and he is yet to play Tabatabai, Shreyas Royal, and Hans Niemann. That's how the situation is. And if everything works out well for Gukesh, he might be able to win this event and come closer to booking a spot in the candidates for himself. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.